Can you hear me now? Well, who wants to see a pumpkin vomit into another pumpkin that vomits into another pumpkin? That's why you're here tonight, right? We've never done this before. We've had one pumpkin vomit onto the floor before, but this is going to be a new one, and it's going to be awesome. And hopefully it will work out. What? I'm early? Oh. All right, hold on. We're going to check time. What time are we starting?
It's supposed to be 9:15.
9:15? So are we waiting?
Let's try to stick to the schedule. It looks like everyone's here. Should we start?
Sure.
I don't want to jump the gun. Like, we're slated for 9:15. Should we wait till 9:15?
Are you both starting at the same time at 9, or is that the 9:15?
Yeah. Because that's going to be, I think, pretty
That's
fast.
gonna be really fast, yeah.
Do we want to do something else in the interim?
No, we've never, I mean, we've always just done this, so the fact that we're doing that is a bonus.
Okay.
I mean, you could do that, and then it's like let that die down, and then be like, don't forget, you need to fill out to win that raffle. I don't know, and then you could start the pumpkining, the great pumpkining. That's just my thought. Loves and shapes. Oh, there's some pictures.
So wait.
Yeah, because I feel like Jim and Doug are maybe going to be here for that.
All right. Well, we are going to wait for another 17 minutes to make the pumpkins vomit. But we will be here doing something that I don't know what we're doing, but we're going to be waiting for about another 15 minutes to make them happen. But if you have not signed up for winning the prize, you still can, and if you have somebody that can hold your seat, you can have your hold your seat.
The piece that you're winning was put together at a demo of Pieces from the Flood.
Oh, yes. So last month, we always make something really, really unique. Last month, we did a restoration piece where we took some of the destroyed glass that died horrible death here in the flood, and we made something new and beautiful out of it. So that's what you're signing up for. I think it's right there up at the counter. I think it's sitting right up there. But we usually give out whatever we make at the last demo to the following third degree open house. So that's what you're going to be signing up to win, is the restoration piece from the reclaimed broken glass made into something new tonight. And then next month, if you come, you will win the skull stabber head thing that destroyed my creation, that got destroyed before it even got born. But anyway, that will be another thing. Yes, it is hot in here because we're all hot glass blowers. Yes, question? When are we going to make the big pumpkin? We are going to make the big pumpkin after the little pumpkins vomit into each other. Then we were making a very large pumpkin that is hopefully going to survive and go into in about 15 minutes. In about, 15 minutes we'll do that. So at the same time as Jeremy is going to be making the large pumpkin, we will make these have a waterfall glass thing happening right there. Do you want to be on mic?
All right, have we got 15 minutes to make the biggest pumpkin?
We are going to make pumpkins vomit.
The pumpkins vomit?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so is this going to be one pour?
Yes.
That'll never work.
Yes, it will.
Have you tried it?
No,
That'll never work.
it'll happen.
All right. Cool.
It'll be awesome.
All right.
We may need 2 pours.
Okay.
Do you think we need 2 pours?
No, I think it's going to cool. a shot. All right. No, you got to do it in one.
I believe we have the power.
All right. Are we gonna? When do we start?
Do you want to start now?
Yeah, let's start it. All right. Okay. So welcome to the second major demo of the night. This is the Great Pumpkin, and we have a new event. We're going to try to make a tower of puking pumpkins. So the idea here, and we have not actually successfully done this yet. So you will guys, if it works, you'll be the first to see it. And if not, then I feel sorry for you sitting in the front row. But the idea is that we are going to shovel hot glass, like molten hot glass, into this top pumpkin, which will respond by hopefully bursting into flames and then vomiting that glass into the head of this pumpkin, which should also burst into flames. And if the glass is still hot enough, it'll come down here to this pumpkin. This pumpkin's already full of glass, which will hopefully stop the reaction. We haven't done it. We experiment. We only did one. We tried it with one last year. This year we've got 3. So, okay. This is Mike, the human crane. And Mike has a steel ladle. And you'll notice that Mike is dipping the ladle into water. The water will keep the glass from sticking, because if the glass sticks to the ladle, it won't come out very easily. So his goal is to very quickly just shovel that molten glass out, get it up there, and hopefully nobody gets hurt. Are you guys ready for this? How many think it's going to work? How many think there's no way it's going to work? All right, so you have an optimistic crowd, Mike. And I know it's cheesy for the MC to... All right, here we go. He sands it off to Chris. And there goes the hot glass into the first pumpkin. Keep going. I think we need another pour, man. We got to keep going. And here comes Mike with an even bigger ladle, sorry. All right, second ladle's coming out. I think you're losing time on the transfer. Just run up those stairs. Run up, run up, run up. That is super heavy. And here comes the second pumpkin. Oh! Now this is going. Oh. All right. All right, at this point, the glass has solidified. The pumpkins are starting to burn, and oh, we're gonna shove it into the little one. Okay, so the little pumpkin's gonna get because if you're gonna make a mess, you may as well make a big mess. All right, so As going to ladle some glass out of our furnace, and you're just going to run over and just dump that. Get the strands off it. All right. The pumpkins are definitely on fire. The smoke is filling the room. Don't worry, we know how to get rid of. All right. Well, we know how to get rid of smoke in this place. Hi. Ha. Hello, Margaret. Oh. Thank you. Ah. Okay. Are we going to do one more pour? We're going to do one more pour just because we don't have a big enough mess. We are going to set the third pumpkin on fire. Oh, look at that. It's looking very menacing. We're setting pumpkins on fire. And Addison comes over with the last little glob of hot glass. And notice how artfully he puts that into the top. All right. Hi, Margaret. Meanwhile, oh. So not only is that super hot, it's also super sharp. Yeah, I think that's over.
We were going to move a camera because they couldn't see anything. Should we take those in the alley now?
Yeah, I think we now put those in the dumpster in the alley and have another performance event.
Any of these cameras on tripods, like tell them to move them because like nobody can see anything. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, these guys?
Put one like up.
Are they one of ours? These are ours?
Yeah, so we have all these different viewpoints, but nobody can see anything.
Oh.
Next time.
So,
So my point is, you could take this and you could be like, oh, we're going to get up closer.
oh, okay.
And then the guy behind the curtain will put it up on the screen.
Oh, okay.
See, you just did it.
Oh, my God.
So you can direct from here.
Thank you.
Yeah, do it.
All right, all right.
Your family made it, as you know.
We're just starting it. Okay, so this is the highlight of Halloween. Yes. All right. Now for the main event of the evening. This is the Great Pumpkin. I will tell you in 20 years, this has worked maybe twice. The Great Pumpkin is very difficult to pull off. But this year I feel optimistic that we have sacrificed to the pumpkin gods, and the pumpkin gods will bless this effort, and hopefully we will be rewarded with a giant orange monster of a pumpkin. So we've got Jeremy Lampy here on the blowpipe. Jeremy has started off with a very, very thick, solid stainless steel pipe. This is the biggest pipe that we've got in the studio, and Jeremy's arms are also the biggest we have in the studio. And what we do is we start off by making a small piece of glass with just a clear piece of glass, and then Jeremy has folded orange glass over that. So what we're looking at right here is orange glass folded over clear, and you can see the clear sort of at the back. It's kind of glowing a brighter red, and that sort of dull orange is the actual orange color. And now we're going to begin a layering process where Jeremy is going to sort of progressively add more and more layers of clear glass to this thing. But ultimately, when it blows out, it's going to look orange because there's that orange sort of coating on the inside. And Jeremy's also, I guess, supplementing the color on the inside with some other color, and I'm going to see what this other color is. It's like yellow-orange. Okay, so he's putting more orange on it. So if it survives, this thing is going to be very, very orange. So the process of glass blowing is largely unchanged in the last 2 millennia. Like there's nothing sort of technically that we're doing differently from, you know, the folks who came up with the first blowpipes. And the reason this activity is called glass blowing is because the latest relevant technology was the blowpipe. So when mankind learned how to put holes in steel, this was a big boon to glass. But since then, not much has changed. These metal tables used to be made out of marble or stone. We used to use wood for the fires. These days we use electricity or gas. But fundamentally, this process is unchanged in 2 millennia. And the glass color is made with just pieces of, I should say, metal oxides that are dissolved into the glass itself. So the chemistry is pretty arcane, and certain colors in glass work better than others. Reds and yellows tend to be the more difficult colors. So Jeremy's going to use another high-tech tool here. This is known as a giant piece of wood. And what he's doing now is he's shaping it up so it's all balanced, because one of the problems with hot glass is that it's not stiff, it's moving. And because it's moving, you have to constantly keep it rotating. And if it is in any way imbalanced, that rotation is going to get out of control very quickly. So what Jeremy is doing now is inflating the glass, and you'll notice he's got something in his hand. That is the Wall Street Journal. So we use the Wall Street Journal largely because it's printed on better newsprint than the Post-Dispatch and has less color. But the basic idea here is that you put a layer of glass on and then you cool it down. And then we're going to put another layer of glass on, then we're going to cool it down. And then we're going to put one more layer of glass on, and then we're going to heat the whole thing up, blow it into a giant mold, which I don't see the giant mold. Are we? Well, we used to blow it into a giant mold. I'm not sure if that's the plan this year. I'll let you know as it happens. But pretty soon we're going to get that into about like a basketball size of glass. Question. Can I turn up the volume? I can't, but somebody can. Can we get more volume on the mic? More volume. Let me see. All right, Eileen's going to turn me up, and I'm going to try to stay in front of the speaker so you guys don't die with feedback. Is that better? Oh, that's much better. Oh, my God. Oh, yeah. The kid's covering her ears. It must be good. Awesome. All right. Thank you. Okay, so Jeremy's going back into the furnace. You notice we have 2 furnaces here. One of them's gas, one of them's electric. And people always ask us how we fuel the glass studio when we go to glass conferences. People always ask, you know, are you powering your studio with glass or electricity? And my answer is always the same. We're powering it with alcohol. So the drinks that you purchase pay for everything. So thank you for drinking. Okay, so Jeremy's now put another layer of clear glass on top of crushed color glass, on top of clear glass, on top of orange glass, on top of clear glass. So that's the sandwich that's going on right now. And he's going to use that wooden block, which is wet, to just shape the glass into a nice, even ball. And then I think he's going to let it get cool and do one or maybe two more gathers on this. So this is going to be an outrageously heavy piece of glass. And yeah, I've told you that the Great Pumpkin is rarely successful. It's just so much to be able to handle that much glass. And we don't normally, at Third Degree, work with glass that's that heavy. So there are studios in the world that are sort of designed to handle glass like this. And they've got cranes, and they've got railroad tracks, and they've got guys that are like twice as big as anyone here. Or Alexis. Actually, the biggest piece of glass that I ever saw made at this studio was made by a woman, Alexis Silk. And she could take a punch. Alexis was very, very tough, and she could handle massively heavy pieces of glass. And a lot of it is balance. Like if the glass is balanced, it's fairly easy to handle. But the problem is when you heat it up, it then sort of starts moving, and it's very, very hard to keep that balance. So the big challenge here is for us to get this glass hot enough so that we can make something out of it, but not so hot that we lose control of it. And that's the line that glassblowers are always walking. We're basically, always trying to get the glass hotter, because when it's hotter, it's easier to change its shape. But the easier it is to change its shape, the harder it is to sort of freeze that shape in a moment. So one of the issues with the Great Pumpkin is it will make the pumpkin and it'll look beautiful for about 3 seconds. And then because if it's too hot, it'll actually collapse in on itself. So hopefully that doesn't happen this year. But it has happened in the past. All right. All right, so now Jeremy's going to get a little sleeve, because protection of your skin becomes sort of an issue at this point. Like, this is 2,000, 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit. Maybe this may be 1,500 degrees. Oh yeah. So this is a cocktail napkin. Oops. Sorry. And I guess we kind of got to wipe that off now. Hold on. I've sort of scummed up the piece here. I got to get the residual bits of the ash from the napkin off there. There we go. And it looks like they're not doing anything right now, but what they're doing right now is they're letting that core cool down. Because if we were to go back into the furnace right now with that core being hot, then it would collapse under the weight of the glass that we're going to add on top of it. So this is going to happen 2 more times. And during that time, Jeremy's just going to sort of progressively armor himself up, first with some Kevlar, and then with some reflective, like, I don't know what that is, aluminum or something. And he's going to look like a cyborg by the time we're actually at scale. And I'm going to go find out if we're doing a mold. Are we doing a mold for this? Is this thing going to be molded?
The mold is getting showered.
Okay, so the mold is outside. All right, so, and this is, let's see this. Got it. Okay, so yes, we are using a mold this year, and the mold is actually made of wood. So what's going on in the alley outside is they are soaking that wood to get it to absorb as much water as possible, because when you put hot glass next to dry wood, it tends to make fire. And if you put hot glass next to wet wood, it makes a lot of smoke and then fire. So that's going to be the plan. And one more gather on top of this? All right. Two more gathers on top of this. All right. This is about to get really heavy. All right, so Jeremy comes out. Now the first thing he's going to do is cool this pipe down because the pipe itself is pretty toasty and it kind of burns your hands while you're working it. So the first thing you want to do is cool it off. Mike's going to help with a little extra water here. And might as well get some work done while you're cooling the pipe off. So we can shape that glass right on center and cool pipe at the same time. And this is why third degree is a... Yes?
By the way, Jacqueline has a birthday today.
Oh, Jacqueline.
It's literally her birthday today.
It is your birthday today.
You could sing a song for her.
Would anyone like to sing happy birthday to Jacqueline to sort of kill the time? Well, wait, no, let's wait until there's going to be a point where they're just letting this cool down and there'll be nothing to do, and that's when we sing. Okay? Because right now this is kind of interesting because they're still shaping the glass on center. But in about a minute, they're going to have this glass all shaped, and then there's nothing to do but cool it down. And during that time, we're going to sing happy birthday to Jacqueline. So, always good to have a bunch of strangers sing you happy birthday. So look at that. So what Jeremy's doing now is sort of moving the glass down and creating an area where hopefully that we'll be able to break the pumpkin off the blowpipe. So this is known as the jack line, and again, it's pretty hot to have your hand next to that hot piece of glass. But what he's doing is critical because we're going to make a great pumpkin. Assuming the thing survives, then we got to get the blowpipe off it. And so we're going to have to crack the blowpipe off. So what he's doing now is he's establishing that place where that break is going to occur. So at that narrow neckline, that's where the piece is going to be broken off. And you're going to take yet another gather over this. All right. Does it seem weird that you could handle glass with just wet newspaper? Does that seem kind of counterintuitive? Yeah, it's like one of the first things you learn with glass is that it's very hard to manipulate it because anything you touch it with leaves a mark. And so if you want to make a nice piece, you have to be very sort of gentle with how you manipulate it. And it turns out that wet newspaper is one of the best tools we've got because it's wet, there actually is a steam barrier that's created between the glass and the paper. So you're not actually really touching the paper. You're just sort of riding this little, like air hockey. It's known as the Leidenfrost effect, but you're actually riding just sort of a barrier of steam. Okay. Now he is going to take another gather over that, but I think he's made the piece too big to fit in our furnace. Is that not? Is it too big or is it just too hot? It's just right. So this is the part where we're just going to get it cool down. Jacqueline, right? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jacqueline. Happy birthday to you. All right. See? Killing time. Killing time. We've probably got another 2 or 3 minutes to kill before this thing's cool enough to gather over. So what? This is actively loafing, Mike tells us. What should we? Can we pass this around? Like show the audience what it looks like. Or you feel like lifting it? Every time you lift this thing, it's like. It is a massive amount of glass. So you can feel the heat in the front row. And this is also significantly cooler than it was, 5 minutes ago. We've been doing nothing but cooling. And this is the pumpkin maker. All right. Okay. So what's going to happen, this thing is nice and wet and is our thing that's going to make it look like a pumpkin. Otherwise it just looks like a giant Christmas ornament. And then we've got fans because in years past, part of the problem is making the pumpkin. But then as soon as you make the pumpkin, you got to stop making the pumpkin. In other words, you got to get the pumpkin to sort of freeze in that shape. Otherwise, it just, pancakes itself down. And you say, well, why don't you just leave it sealed as a ball? Then it wouldn't compress. And then it doesn't turn into a pancake. But then that causes another problem, which is it explodes. Because when the glass is sealed, if it is sealed at a high temperature, there's actually very little oxygen. So that when it cools down, the amount of, air inside it is minimal, and the forces of pressure that are on us just implode the thing. So this is not likely to work, but we're going to try. And it's always fun to watch. All right, so why is Jeremy heating up the piece with a tiny little torch that doesn't look like it's doing anything? And the answer is that the glass is losing temperature towards the blowpipe. So the blowpipe, being metal, is actually conducting thermal energy away from the piece. So the neck is getting very, very cold, and the bottom is still relatively hot. And if that neck gets too cold, then the whole thing cracks off before we want it to. All right, so this is the last sort of move before the big gather. This actually looks really beautiful. Like this will be a nice looking pumpkin if it survives. And okay, so we were successful last year. So we have a streak going. So all right, and do we have a stem for this thing? Okay, so he's going in. They're protecting him from the heat because that furnace is just insanely hot. And it's really heavy. And I will get out of the way so they can just appreciate this. Out he comes with a monstrous amount of glass on there. That's like 2 screaming kids. And they're going to try to shape it up a little bit. It doesn't even fit into the largest block that we own in the studio, so that's kind of pointless. Mike is just showing how pointless that is. I think you shape that with paddles. Do you want to? Okay, yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to, and all we're trying to do is even this thing out so that it's sort of generally in a shape that will blow into, and we've got to hit that neck so that it doesn't get too cold. Is there going to be a stem for this thing? Are we making a stem? Stem. We glue the stem on. Oh, that's why these things survive. Okay, so the stem is this whole other thing that can go wrong that we've now stopped doing because clearly it doesn't work. Okay, so time for the Great Pumpkin. All right, so what's happening now is they're trying to get heat back into that glass. And you say, but Jim, there was just a bunch of heat in the glass because you just pulled it out of the furnace. And I say, yes, there was heat. There was heat in the outside. Remember how many cores of glass we've built up in the inside? That was all cold. That's why the whole thing didn't collapse. So if you blew into this thing right now, it wouldn't move because the core is cold and the outside is hot. We want the whole thing to be hot. So the first thing you do to make the whole thing hot, you should make the whole thing cold, and then you make it hot again. So this is the hot again part. So they're in the furnace. Jerry's going to come out, and you'll notice that it's starting to deform, and that he's got to shape that back into something that's a little more manageable. And he's just using wet newspaper. I mean, again, this is sort of the best tool we've got. The other thing we've got is this marver. We can roll it on the marver. And Jeremy's bicep is burning because his team is so mesmerized that they forgot to protect him. But he's just shaping that so that it will be the precursor to the shape we need to inflate. So the reason making anything with glass is difficult is because you don't get to sort of directly make it. You have to sort of reason back. You take this idea of what you want it to look like at the end, and you say, well, what does it look like right before that? And then what does it look like right before that? And then what does it look like right before that? So what these guys are doing, and the reason they're adjusting this so much, is they need this piece to have the right shape, and they also need it to have the right temperature. And we have a problem in the studio because our furnaces heat from the back forward. So you can see the doors on the front. Well, the front part is colder. The back part is hotter, which is why when you see him come out, the bottom part of the piece is glowing, and the top part is almost colorless. So right now they're cooling the bottom, but actively pumping the top with heat from the torch. So that's all that's going on here. We're just trying to even out that heat. But the last time you heat it, you really don't have time to come and adjust everything. The glass is actually pretty cold right now. Like it's moving, but it's not moving very fast. And in order to blow it out properly, it's going to have to get a lot hotter. So we're heating the top so that we can cool the bottom, so that we go heat the whole thing, and then hopefully it'll all be right, and it'll fit in here, and maybe it'll survive this year. Any Great Pumpkin questions? Nothing? Would anyone like to know what we do with the Great Pumpkin? I'd like to know what we do with the Great Pumpkin. What do we do with the Great Pumpkin? If it survives. Assuming it survives.
You can join us next month for Shop the District and we'll give it away.
We're going to give the Great Pumpkin away at Shop the District next third Friday. So you got to give us a month to like clean it up. But next month, just in time for Halloween to be over, you're going to have a giant pumpkin that will be difficult to store. Yeah, and you're on your own getting it home. Like, get a minivan. You know that friend with a pickup truck? Start baking cookies because you're going to need him. All right, so here we go. One more heat. One more heat. You can see it's moving around. And they're trying to get it in the right shape. All right. Okay. Jeremy's drying off his hands so that he can actually. Okay, here we go. He's going in. All right. Addison's suiting up. Addison is going to put his face right in front of the great pumpkin. That's an act of courage. And the mold is ready. The mold is wet-ish. I'm going to do this end. Okay. So I'm going to get involved in this, they tell me. And here it comes. Great pumpkin over. And it's in. And now we're inflating it. Blow, 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 blow. Blow, 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 blow. It's going. Where do we have a camera for this? All right, we're going to try to get the, we're going to, all right, there it is. And they're inflating it. And now we got to get the thing out. But we can't pull it out too quickly because if we pull it out too early, it will collapse. One more puff. All right. Now we come out. Hopefully it is survive. Oh my God! Oh my God! All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's not over yet. We still have to get that thing off the blowpipe and into the annealer. Addison is putting on the space suit. And Jeremy is over here. He's trying to get that jack line in at the last second. They're keeping the bottom hot. I don't know why they're keeping the bottom hot. Oh, they got to flatten the bottom out so it sits. Oh my God, this is. They're going to actually try to make it flat so it sits nicely on somebody's. Now this is a lawn ornament, man. You're never going to get that flat. Lawn ornament. Chihuly stuff doesn't sit flat. Come on. All right, here we go. All right. And in the moment of truth, will it come off the pipe? 1, 2, 3, tap. And it comes off. Oh my God. Now, Addison. Took us 20 years to learn how to do that. Yeah, one more round of applause. This team was fantastic. So that thing survived. It'll be for sale or next month, giving it away? So we're going to give this one away right now. How do we do that?
I need some glass.
Oh,
And whatever the one that wins is the one that usually does it. So, like, do you know what we're doing? All right.
oh, so we're doing this. We're taking tickets, and of course, we're just burning them. We're just going to burn all the losers. Just let them go. And we're going to do.
Like, you let it burn, like, let it go down, and then you pick one up, and we
Oh, I pick. I pick.
add a burning glass, yeah.
Oh, so I just grab one out of the burning glass
Yeah.
with a tweezer.
We work in a weird spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's going to get a couple of gathers. We. Well, I'm going to collect these more closely into a pile. And this piece is going to be given away. Who made this piece? Who made the piece?
Who made this last one? Was it a group effort? What's that?
Okay. Oh, this is the piece that was made for all the pieces from the flood. So all the pieces that floated down Delmar and broke, we salvaged and made into this piece. And whoever's ticket is not burnt to bits. All right. And I'm going to try to get my arm in here. All right. I want a ticket that's partially burnt.
You're right. There you go. Yeah, that works.
All right. We have the winner. It is partially burnt. Ticket number 5466851. Blair Ulmer. She has nice printing. Is Blair here? Blair's gone. All right. The next 54666 866. Last three digits 866. I see a man jumping for joy back there, and your name better be Christian Miller. Christina Miller. 5466866. Oh. Christina. Congratulations. Yeah. All right. Clap. Yes, this is very good.
Thank you
Here.
everyone for coming tonight.
Thank you so much for coming. We are going to be open for the bar's open for another 10 minutes, and see you over the next 20 years.